Good evening, my dear students. This is Mrs. Suhair Zaki, and now we are going to start our sessions for final revision of our science curriculum for Prep 2 students. Let's start our session for today. Final revision includes practicing answering different types of questions and model exams. So by the end of our lesson, you will be able to answer different types of questions, and we are going, of course, to answer the Ministry of Education model exams for science curriculum the first term. Dear students, we have answered in our last session Model 1 exam of Ministry of Education, and for our session today we are going to start the second model in the final revision. Answer the following questions, and we will start by question 1. Question 1, first part, choose the correct answer. Question 1. Choose the correct answer. Number 1. When heating a piece of iron, all of the following increase except number of molecules, temperature, internal energy of molecules, kinetic energy of molecules. Of course, when we heat the piece of iron, heating increases the kinetic energy and the internal energy of the existing molecules, which causes a rise in temperature, but of course it doesn't change the actual number of molecules. So our correct choice for this question is the number of molecules. When we heat a piece of iron, all the following increases except the number of molecules. Question 1. Choose the correct answer and the second question. A cup of orange juice with a temperature of 25 degrees Celsius was filled with ice cubes. After 5 minutes, the cup's temperature became 9 degrees Celsius, and the temperature of the remaining ice cubes was dash Celsius. Is it 25? Is it 0? Is it 9 or 12? It's a tricky question because this question is asking about the temperature of the remaining ice cubes. So we're still asking about the temperature of ice. And the temperature of ice till the piece of ice is still ice is 0 degree Celsius. So our correct choice for this question will be 0 degrees Celsius, as we are asking about the temperature of the remaining part of the ice cubes. Question 1 and the second part is give reason. Number 1. Wet cloth dry faster during the day with sunlight than at the night. Of course, we observe all of us that the clothes dry faster during the day, especially during the sunny day, than at night. Why? Because the rate of evaporation increases with higher temperature and the presence of sunlight, of course. Sunlight provides heat energy, which increases the kinetic energy of water molecules, allowing them to escape into the air as vapor more quickly than in the cooler, darker conditions at night. So, sunlight gives heat energy, and heat energy increases the kinetic energy of water molecules that allow the molecules to escape easily and go to the air in the form of water vapor, and this allow the clothes to dry faster in a sunny day than night, of course. Question 1 and give reason. Number 2. Difficulty in breaking a piece of rock. Why it's so difficult to break a piece of rock? Rocks are hard to break due to the strong attractive forces holding the mineral crystals or grain together. And in rocks like igneous, for example, or metamorphic rocks, they have interlocking crystal structures that are fused together, requiring a great deal of force to break the strong bonds and separate the mineral. Question 1. Give reason. Number 3. The number of mitochondria increases in some cells, such as the liver cells. Why the number of mitochondria are more in liver cells? Mitochondria are the organelles responsible for cellular respiration and producing energy in the form of ATP. Cells with high energy demands, like muscle cells, nerve cells, or liver cells, contain greater numbers of mitochondria to meet their metabolic needs. So, in case of liver needs more mitochondria to give the energy needed for metabolic processes. Question 1. Give reason. 4. It's preferable to express a chemical reaction with a symbolic equation rather than a word one. Why it's more accurate and more preferable to express the chemical reaction in the way of symbolic equation more than the word one. Symbolic equation gives more specific and quantitative information than a word equation. It shows the exact types and numbers of atoms and molecules involved in the reaction, and the precise proportions of reactants and products, and is balanced according to the law of conservation of mass, all of which save time and space. So it's preferable to express chemical reaction because it gives the full information about the chemical reaction. In case of using the symbolic equation, it gives us the number of atoms, the molecules, the substance, the conditions, all of the information needed to describe this chemical reaction is given in the symbolic equation. Question 2, and the first part is complete the following sentences. The dash change results in new substances that differ in properties from the original materials. We have studied two main changes, the physical change and the chemical change. The physical change doesn't include the formation of new substance or any change in the composition of the original material. While in case of chemical change, it results in new substance that differ in properties from the original material. Question 2 and complete the following sentences. Number 2. Magma rich in silica forms upon solidification minerals such as mica and dash. What is the other example of this type of minerals? Of course, quartz. Quartz and mica are formed from magma rich in silica. Question 2. And the second part is mention the importance of each of the following. Number 1. The double membrane in the chloroplast. What is the importance of the double membrane in chloroplast? The double membrane encloses the organelle and regulates the movement of molecules into and out of the chloroplast. It creates a distinct internal compartment where essential biochemical reactions such as the light-independent reactions in the stroma of photosynthesis can occur efficiently. So it regulates the movement of molecules in and out of the chloroplasts, and this is an important role of the double membrane in the chloroplasts. Question 2. Mention the importance of each of the following. Number 2. Carbohydrates in industry. What is the importance of carbohydrates in industry? Of course, there are numerous industries depend on carbohydrates, like paper from cellulose, some cosmetics from sugar and starch, and medicine capsules. Question 2. Mention the importance of each of the following. And number 3. Sensory receptors in the head of snakes. Sensory receptors are very important in the head of snakes during capture their prey, as these receptors receive the infrared radiation and can detect easily the body of the prey and enable the snake to locate and strike their targets accurately even in the darkness. Question 2. Mention the importance of each of the following. Radiators. What is the importance of radiators? Radiators in a car engine is the main component of the cooling system. It disperses a mix of coolant and water through fins to release heat absorbed from the engine, preventing the engine from overheating and sustaining damage In a building, it provides efficient and uniform heating through convection. So radiator is very important in the car engine or for the car engine, and also it used in buildings to provide efficient and uniform heating through convection. Now let's move to question 3. The first part, balance the following equation. This is our first equation. Fe plus O2 gives the iron oxide or Fe2O3. So this is the combination reaction between iron and oxygen to give iron oxide. So let's balance this equation. In balancing equation, we count each atom and be sure that each atom for each element have the same number before and after the reaction. So we will start with Fe. Fe in the reactants only one atom. In the product we have 2 atoms of iron. So we will start balancing the equation by writing 2 before Fe. So we have 2 atoms of iron in the reactants and 2 atoms of iron in the products. Let's count oxygen. We have 2 oxygen atoms in the reactants, while we have 3 oxygen atoms in the product. So we must write 3 before oxygen in the reactants. Now the oxygen atoms in reactants are 3 times 2, so oxygen atoms are 6 oxygen atoms. So we will write 2 before the iron oxide. Now we have 6 oxygen atoms in products too, while the number of atoms of iron raised to 4. So we will write 4 before the iron in the reactants. Now we have 4 iron atoms in reactants and 4 in the products. We have 6 oxygen atoms in reactants and 6 oxygen atoms in the products. So this equation now is balanced. Question 3. Balance the following equation. Al plus H2SO4 gives Al2SO4O3, which is aluminum sulfate, and hydrogen gas evolves. So this is the reaction between aluminum and sulfuric acid, and the products are aluminum sulfate and hydrogen gas. Let's balance this equation. To balance the equation, as we mentioned before, each atom of each element must have the same number before and after the reaction. So let's start by counting the first element, atoms, aluminum. We have only 1 aluminum atom in the reactants, while we have 2 aluminum atoms in the products. So we will start by adding 2 before aluminum. Let's count the second element, which is the hydrogen. We have here 2 hydrogen atoms in sulfuric acid molecule, while in the end of the reaction we have 2 hydrogen atoms also in the products. So let's count the sulfate group. We have only one sulfate group in the molecule of sulfuric acid, but in aluminum sulfate we have 3 sulfate groups, so SO4 all 3. So we have 3 sulfate groups in the products. So we will write 3 before sulfuric acid molecule. Now we have 3 sulfate groups in the reactants. We have 3 sulfate groups in the product. Let's return to hydrogen. Now the hydrogen atoms became 6 hydrogen atoms. So we will go to the hydrogen molecule that evolves at the end of the reaction, and right before hydrogen molecule we write 3. So now we have 6 hydrogen atoms in the products and 6 hydrogen atoms in the reactants. So our equation is balanced now. Now let's move to the second part of our question, which is what are the results of? Beginning by number 1, what is the results of breaking down of pyruvic acid inside mitochondria? What happens when pyruvic acid is broken down inside the mitochondria? It produces limited energy in the form of ATP molecules and carbon dioxide gas, which is transferred to the atmospheric air. So the electron transport chain reactions occur on the inner membrane of the mitochondrion, involving electrons which are produced from the Krebs cycle to form a large quantity of energy in the form of ATP molecules and water. Question 3. What are the results of number 2, removal of grana from chloroplasts? What happens when we remove the grana from chloroplasts? Of course, grana is the place where the light-dependent reactions of photosynthesis take place. So the light-dependent reactions of photosynthesis which occur in the thylakoid membranes within the grana would be inhibited or stop entirely. The plant would be unable to capture the light energy to produce ATP, which is essential for the light-independent reactions in Calvin cycle in the stroma to produce glucose. This would lead to cessation of photosynthesis and eventual cell death. So removal of grana will lead to the plant death, as the plant will be not able to do the light-dependent reactions of photosynthesis process. Question 3, and we're still in the second part of it. What are the results of convergence of two oceanic tectonic plates? What happens when the convergence of two oceanic plates? It resulted in the formation of new arcs or chain of volcanic islands, like in case of Japanese islands. In this movement, the older and cooler and denser oceanic plates will subduct beneath the less dense one into the mantle. This process forms a deep ocean trench at the boundary and a line of volcanoes called volcanic islands, like in case of Japanese islands. Now let's move to the end of our question. What are the results of heating solid iodine? What happens when we heat solid iodine? Solid iodine undergoes sublimation. It changes directly from the solid state into purple gas, into the gaseous state, without passing through the liquid state, of course, under the normal atmospheric pressure. So, solid iodines undergoes sublimation. It changes directly to the gaseous state without passing the liquid state. Let's move to the fourth question, question 4. And the first part of it, give the chemical name for each of the following. We have two commercial names of chemical compounds, and we will write the chemical name of each one of them. The first one is the vinegar. What is the chemical name of vinegar? The chemical name of vinegar is, yes, it's the acetic acid. Number 2, what is the chemical name of baking soda? The chemical name of baking soda is sodium bicarbonate. Question 4 and the second part of it, what is meant by each of the following? The first question is asking about the divergent movement. What is meant by the divergent movement? The divergent movement is a type of tectonic plate movement where two adjacent plates move away from each other, forming a new oceanic crust, like in case of the formation of Red Sea in Africa, or a new continental crust, like in case of the African Great Rift Valley. Question 4. What is meant by mineral? What is meant by mineral? Let's remember together. Mineral is a naturally occurring inorganic solid with a definite chemical composition, of course, and crystalline structure. Examples of minerals: quartz, mica, feldspar, and many other examples. Question 4 and what is meant by each of the following? Number 3. What is meant by stroma? Let's remember together what is meant by stroma. Stroma is the fluid-filled space in the inner membrane of the chloroplast that surrounds the grana, which is a stacks of thylakoids as we studied in our curriculum. It contains enzymes, DNA, and ribosomes, and is the site where the light-independent reactions in Calvin cycle of photosynthesis occur to synthesize the glucose. Question 4 and what is meant by gas exchange in plants? What is meant by gas exchange in plants? Gas exchange in plants take place in two main processes: the photosynthesis process and the respiration process. So gas exchange is the process by which the plants take in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere for photosynthesis and release oxygen as a byproduct through the tiny pores that called stomata. While on the other hand, the plant also respires. So during respiration, the plant consumes oxygen and release carbon dioxide. So this is the gas exchange in plant with the environment. This was our last question in our second model for a science curriculum of the Ministry of Education. Me, Mrs. Sohair Zaki, was with you all the first term to explain and solve with you and practice with you the questions and the different exercises all the term. Wishing you all the best in your coming exam and in your future. See you next term, inshallah. And all of these sessions under the supervision of the Consultant Science Office of the Ministry of Education, and this is our live stream channel. Thank you for watching and see you next term, inshallah.